Everybody calm down. They're just my thoughts, my feelings. It's not... Hey! Not a big deal if you don't agree with me on what I'm about to say. I'm really liking Path of Exile 2. I'm on the PS5 Pro. And it's been a blasty blast. But at the same time, I'm also struggling to fully enjoy the game because of a few reasons. Number one being that this is a very difficult game. When I say very difficult, you know, people will sometimes use the term, oh, it's like a Souls-like game. Nah, bitch. Path of Exile 2 is in its own category. I can beat games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls and all that shit and play classic World of Warcraft and do 40-man raids like Zul'Gurub and the original Blackwing Lair and Molten Core and all that shit. But then I come here and it's just like a different bag of holy shitballs. It really is something else to behold. One of the number one things that I don't like about the console version, and I'll have a link down below in the description box to a YouTuber who shows how you can zoom in. There's actually an interface section on the PC, and it'll say mouse zoom with the wheel. That's it. And then you just scroll up and down, and there's like an actual gradient. It's not like Diablo where you're here and then you're there, and then you're here and then you're there. It's like a nice smooth, like, you know, up and down. That's not on here, so that bugs me. When you're in the game, I really appreciate the fact that if you're stuttering or there's like an internet connection issue, the game will pause. See, for example, I just paused the game. It says game paused. Hey, this is an online-only game, but it also brings me to another point, which I got downvoted on Reddit, and I didn't even say anything wrong. I don't like the fact that this game, you're on your own in your world when you leave town unless you're in a party. So it reminds me of the first Guild Wars. This is not like Diablo again. Once you go out, you're on your own. This is your own world. Nobody's just going to come in and rescue you, which is funny because when you're playing Diablo like 3 or 4, you don't need anybody to just come in and help you. Well, they couldn't in 3, I don't think. But in 4, you could be doing an event, like random events. I missed those events. And then people could just join in. There's none of that here. I've done about 4 or 5 different maps. Maybe it unlocks later. I don't know. There are no dynamic events as far as I know. Nobody is ever going to come to your rescue. And I have to admit, for what I look for in a game, that's missing from this game. However, the combat is a lot of fun. The skills that you can mix and match together is really fun. A lot of the items that you get, unless they're unique, even if they're like higher level, you can trade them with other players or yourself. You can just go to your stash, plop them in. If you're done using like a really cool flask or something like that, you're like, okay, it's no longer good. I got a new one. I'll just give it to my other alt or something like that. The skills are really cool. So when you click on an uncut skill gem and you go to learn a new skill, by default, it'll come up to your primary weapon that you technically should be using. If you're a warrior, it's going to be mace. But you can mix it up. There's elemental, there's crossbow, quarterstaff, and occult, and bow. Go ahead and start using poison burst arrow if you want. I started doing that with my merc to kind of do a crossbow bow build. Whether or not mixing and matching is viable isn't the point. You can do it. Then you can support those skills and you can make it so that when you do armor break, it also has an extra 20% chance to gain endurance charge, or you can have extra rage, 3 rage per hit. You could just do all these things, and it's really crazy. And even go further than that, you could go show all. And if you have the dexterity, you can actually do it from any other class. If you want to use combo finisher from a monk, I don't know if it's from a monk, I'm just saying. You could do that. Like, you can really fine-tune your character in this game, which I have to praise it. And yes, I am comparing it a little bit to Diablo 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, because they're ARPGs, but this game naturally stands on its own. And it really is not something that everybody's going to like. Like, I'm struggling right now. I can't defeat the next mini boss, if you will, so that I can go to the next section. Like, I'm completely stumped. I'm stumped more in this game in the early ongoing, and I'm only in the first act, than any other game I've ever played. It doesn't matter if it's Black Myth Wukong, like I said. It doesn't matter if it's Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Like, it just throw me a game. This is the game that I'm struggling the most on. So naturally, that is going to hinder and dampen my enjoyment. This is not like a casual just roaming around for shits and giggles, even though it looks like I'm stomping a mud hole into everything here. These are just regular enemies, but earlier on I had one of these enemies, but it had a yellow bar, and it took me like nearly 2 minutes to kick its ass. I don't mind stuff like that. But when the bosses take literally in the upwards of almost 40 minutes it took me to beat a boss yesterday, I just think that's a little bit too much. So then what I have to do is like what I'm doing right now. I got to go and grind, because once I hit level 11, what's going to end up happening is my two-handed weapon is going to end up doing twice as much damage, because I got a nice shiny little weapon that a friend of mine gave me that's waiting for me in my stash, right? So yeah, it's a lot of fun. The game is pretty cheap. It's in early access. We've got 3 acts, I think, so far. 6 classes. There's going to be roughly 6 acts, 12 classes in total when the game comes out. I think it's a great game that you should definitely consider, but just keep an open mind that this is going to test you like potentially you've never been tested before. And this is a game that is advertised as being able to complete on your own. And so my biggest complaint, other than the difficulty, is the lack of an open MMORPG-ish feel like Diablo 4. The fact that you're like just in your own world here, unless you bring people into the party, it bugs me a lot. It does. I mean, I can't sugarcoat that. Now I want to share something else with you that I thought was really, really cool. Let's say I go to an older area. Let's say I want to go to the Red Vale, for example. I can let's say hold down. Actually, I can do it on my own map. No, yes I can. Yeah, you hold on to it. Same thing with when you leave an area. You can hold down the button that it tells you to push to exit or port, and you can do what's called a new instance. Unlike Diablo 4 and the first map of the game when you exit the first town, the game generally, see? Earlier, my gate was to the left, now it's at the top left. It's, I wouldn't say it's procedurally generated, but there is more than one version of each map. Like, the layout changes. So you can change, well, not change the layout will happen at random, right? But you can like reset it so that now I can just kind of like go around. I can grind, because like I said, the combat is very nice. So that's something you can do. I don't know if you can do that in Diablo 4 again, going back to that game. I think that's generally something that you can only do when you're in a dungeon, and then you can reset the dungeon. See? This is a blue version of that enemy. So he takes an extra couple of hits to kill. I had a yellow one earlier, and holy shit balls, man. Holy shit. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. I mean, I reset the map. I didn't crank it up on Torment 7. Bad Wraith. Yeah, so this game is a lot of fun. It really is, and it makes me just like want to keep coming back, honestly, to it. I don't want to give up. I really, really don't. And the same thing, you know, the portal. There's a lot of things that's kind of like, Listen, as to who did it first, I don't know. I don't really give a shit if they copy or share. Trying to... There we go. Had to kind of line it up there. I don't want to ramble on too much. It's been 10 minutes. If you have any remote interest in this game, I do recommend this game. Now, the town runs like shit. Here, you'll see people. This is where you can make friends and then go out venturing together. If you're going to be solo, I'm not saying you can't do it. Melee is a lot harder in this game than ranged. So like Merce, Sorceress, Witch, or whatever, for now, are definitely going to be classes that are quote-unquote easier, more accessible. I don't know if the word easy is the right word, but yeah. Definitely check it out. I think I'm just going to stop here. I'm running out of things to talk about. I think I covered quite a few things, like the lack of zoom on console, how you can refresh the entire map, how it's dynamic, it's not always the same layout, how there's no players outside of town, how you can mix and match all these skills from different classes. You can pretty much use any weapon you want. I think I covered quite a few. Then the difficulty, of course. I would say this is a great game. I really would. Just one that unfortunately is frustrating me a lot. And I just don't know how long I'll stick to it because I got a lot of games. I got my Nintendo Switch. I got my PC for PC exclusives and Xbox exclusives that are on PC on the Xbox app. Then I've got my PS5. So if I were to kind of like quote-unquote give up on this game at one point, honestly, it could be a blessing in disguise because it's one less game for me to have to worry about, honestly. I mainly play like American Truck Simulator, all the sports games, my World of Warcraft I've been playing for 20 years, and then I cover all these new games that come out. I'll make a couple of videos on them, share what I think about them, how they perform, this, that, and the other thing. And then it's like, next, right? This, I was hoping, was going to be like a long, deep series, and it potentially could be, but it might be a really slow, long series because I hit another wall. I cannot progress. There's literally nothing else for me to show you from the couple of zones I've already played and covered, right? And until I can progress, I feel like I have nothing else to show, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. So yeah, the thumbs up if you did like the video. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm there and trying so desperately in trying to make me more relevant in the search results when people are looking shit up online. And if you didn't like the video, well, that's just too bad now, isn't it? Go ahead, give it a thumbs down, and I'll bend it in half, and I'll twist it, and I'll break it off inside of your ass. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, listen, obviously that would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and if I'm really lucky, maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.